No, I mean, architecture is political. We gotta add that stuff.
Indeed.
We're tearing down communities to build multifamily, and you have to understand we are creating displacement. You're displacing Black and brown folks, and they don't come back.
Half of this podcast would be dedicated to the history of Powerhouse, my journey and my discoveries, and hey, I'm going to solve this housing problem.
Hey guys, what's up? My name is Melissa Daniels. This is the Architecturalist Political Podcast where Black and brown folks talk about architecture. I hope you enjoyed this podcast and be part of my storytelling. Portia Strahan is the founding principal of Palm Studio Architects. Palm stands for Peace of Mind and was founded to create visibility of responsible minority architects and designers committed to socially and ecologically restorative design. She graduated from Cornell University in 2007, receiving her Bachelor of Architecture degree. And in 2016, she received her Master's of Architecture degree from the University of Utah. Throughout her career, she had the privilege of contributing to a diverse range of projects that showcase her versatility as an architect and educator. With over 15 years of professional experience, Portia brings a warm and unique design approach to a diverse range of project types, from commercial to residential, with a focus on community and cultural-based design types in communities of color. Portia has volunteered and sat on numerous boards, including nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity, Architecture for Humanity, and PETS, P-E-T-S. She has taught the Architectural Design Studio at the University of Maryland in College Park and has spoke on numerous career fairs to help ensure the next generation of emerging young minority architects. What I loved about the conversation I had with Portia is that you can visualize her path to entrepreneurship. It wasn't a linear path. It wasn't like I entered architecture school so that I can start my own business. It was more or less finding your way and at the same time balancing yourself. Because we talked about wellness in the conversation and just how to help others through design and how to help herself. The two go together hand in hand. You can be centered and be a good designer and run your own business. Of course, it's always tricky. You're always going to sway one way or the other. You're always going to fall off this very thin beam that you're walking on, navigating your life, essentially. In me playing back our conversation, I hear where she goes, like when she went to Utah for that program. And it sounds like an awesome program, actually. You see how she came back, and when she started working again, she saw things differently. You hear the natural progression of, hey, I can actually do this. Hey, I can actually start my own business. Next thing you know, you're opening your office. You have an office. I see that, and I love that for her. I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was really good talking to Portia. Here you go. Hi, Portia.
Hi, hi, Melissa.
How you doing?
I'm doing, it's Monday. I'm alive.
Yes.
Yeah, you're clearly alive as well.
I'm alive.
Yes.
I can walk, I can talk, I can see.
I could walk, talk, see, smell, taste, checking in with the body. There's no sharp aches and pains today. Not today. So I'm feeling okay.
I've always had the difficulty talking about myself.
Yes.
I feel like that's the same with you.
That is a shared feeling. I don't talk about myself often publicly. This is a new feeling.
And you would think architecture school would have prepared you to talk.
It did. I think it definitely got me, I wouldn't say out of my shell, but it got me to have a voice in something, to get me in the habit of just expressing thoughts and opinions. but I am more introverted. I do share with people in small groups. I come out of my shell in small groups, but it's a hump. Definitely becoming a business owner has pulled out some of those challenges of continuing to have a voice and speak up and share. And it's all good. I think it's all good growth. It's uncomfortable at times, but it's good.
How'd you come up with the name of your Palm Studio?
Yep. Palm Studio, I will tell you. So Palm stands for peace of mind. And it was a Lauryn Hill song, actually, that I was listening to over and over again, unplugged. And it was kind of the main message of her song, peace of mind. And I liked it because it was a mantra or a reminder of knowing that this journey would be difficult, because it is. And so it's a reminder of finding peace of mind along this journey. And there are other references, like the PO is kind of like, P, my name starts with PO. And Palm is also a inside joke with my family. There was a time when we all lived together, I asked my sister she was going to the grocery store. I asked her, like, can you bring back like one of those palm teas, like the pomegranate teas? Mm-hmm. And then she came back with hearts of palm. And I was like, what is this? So whenever we hear the word palm, we kind of burst out laughing. I didn't even know what hearts of palm was. That's why it was just like,
what is this? What aisle did you get this from?
You thought hearts of palm. So yeah, I like how it rolls off the tongue, palm. But yeah, that is peace of mind. That's what it stands for.
What do you want the audience to know about you? Who are you?
Well, I'm Portia. I grew up in Prince George's County, Maryland. My family are all grew up in Texas. So I like to think that is an extension, I guess, I see as my home, Texas and Maryland.
So PG, huh? From elementary school on, you were born in Maryland?
Yeah, born in Maryland, born at Prince George's County Hospital, grew up in Upper Marble, and then...
What high school?
Laurel High School.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I have three sisters. Whew. I have three sisters, one of them being a twin sister, and she went to Roosevelt High School.
Oh.
So yes, I have another half. Maybe that is an interesting...
That is interesting.
Fun fact to store
Identical or?
Not identical, fraternal. We do not look alike, though people do confuse us all the time. And then people actually think that I have two older sisters who everyone thinks they're twins. It can be confusing, I guess, when we're all around, maybe. I don't know.
So do you guys share that special twin bond?
I always tell the story. One time there was a point where she went into a store. It was like one of the big box store, like Target or something. And I had no idea where she was, but as soon as I entered the store, I walked right to her, and she was in the back doing something. I feel at times there's that sense of knowing where she is, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's just like having a best friend who knows a lot, and we share a lot, and we've done a lot together. I have never been in class with her before, because as twins, they keep you apart. But it wasn't until college that we went to school together and did architecture together and all the things.
You two decide to do architecture together. Y'all went to different high schools. So did Roosevelt have a program, or did Laurel have a program?
I mean, Laurel had IB art classes. That was the closest thing that I took to get that experience. But yeah, you have to, during that time, you had to test in to get into Roosevelt. So she took the exam and scored high on it. And I guess I scooted off to Laurel High School, which was fine. I love Laurel, and I think it was good. I took it.
Your story, why architecture? You was looking at her, you okay, fine, you got into Roosevelt, then I'm going to do architecture. And then she was like, no, I'm going to do it too.
It was her idea. I tell a lot of people, I thought my strengths in school were art and math, but I was leaning more towards engineering. she was like, no, we should do architecture and we have more of a creative, artistic side. And then not only that, but our older sister actually went to Cornell for hospitality. We knew that Cornell was known for having a good architecture program. And then we knew the campus. So it was just like, we've been up there multiple times. And it seemed like that is the path that we should both take.
That must be annoying as hell to have your sister there all throughout studio. Or was it the best thing that could ever happen? Because it's like, it's just both of us. Literally, it could just be both of y'all in a class.
It was awesome. I enjoyed it because there wasn't that feeling of like, oh, who am I going to eat lunch with or go to breakfast with? There was no like sitting by myself. It was like we were together a lot. And then we were in the architecture building a lot. And then we see each other at home, walk each other home and go get food together. And that's what I mentioned, the friendship, because it was like having this, like, just going through school and life with a best friend. But yeah, I mean, we do fight at times.
I mean, yeah, like, I got a sister too. She gets some like them nerves. Yeah, this is, wow.
Yeah.
You're actually the second twin I've had on the show.
Is that right?
The first woman, her and her twin, they're identical though, was adopted. Although the twin didn't do architecture, but you're this second set of twins.
Yeah, twins are awesome. In the past couple of years, some of the interns, 2 out of the 3 people I've hired have been twins.
Really?
I don't know why, like in architecture. Yeah, it's wild. I guess it's some unforeseen attraction, twin magnet that this place is, but twins are great.
So your college experience then, besides your sister being there, how was the education for you?
It was intense for me. It didn't register for a while there was like an intense expectation that we had to meet. I just remember taking a lot of credits and just like, I think it dawned on me one night where I was like, oh, the only way to finish this all is to stay up all night. And I don't like, it was just like, oh. And then I'm like, oh, that's what everyone else is doing. Oh, okay. That is the culture, I guess. So yeah, I mean, from my experience, I think from first year to third year, it was a struggle because there was just we had some people in our family family friends who were architects, but I don't think anything prepared me for that level of vigor and studiousness. And then, like I said, around third year was like, okay, I get the expectation. And not only that, but like I felt like my skills were improving around that time in terms of drawing and thinking innovatively and all that stuff.
So you graduated alongside your sister?
Yeah.
And then were you like, I'm going to hang around here in New York?
New York?
Yeah. Yeah. Or you're like, peace out. Like what happened after you graduated?
Oh, it was definitely a peace out. Yeah. I wanted to go back home. I wanted to work. I think that was the thing. I wanted to like work and make money because it was just a struggle. It was a strain. We were raised by a single mother and 5 years, twins. Like, I don't know how she provided for, like, she just provided a lot financially for us. And I think my mindset was like, I need to provide for myself. And this is what all this education was about, which was you learn all this stuff and then you go get a job. And so I was eager to come back to DC and work.
What was your first job like?
My first job was like what people had mentioned, which was like, you're going to start working and you're going to kind of be honed in on this whatever kind of mundane task of something, whether it is bathroom details or door schedules or something kind of repetitive and maybe on the boring side. It was a little bit of that, but there were projects that were more on the exciting side. There were projects that introduced me to Revit, which I really enjoyed using, but it felt natural. I don't think I knew anything else to compare it to. I've done some internships in kind of larger corporate offices. I think when you're a summer intern, everyone just loves you for just being there and like you could do no wrong. I do remember doing wrong. I do remember like deleting stuff, deleting like XREFs and like going home and like causing like a fury of commotion and like people freaking out and it still being okay. And I think when I came out of school, there was this sense of like, don't mess up like that. Do not. You're not an intern anymore. No one thinks that's no one thinks that's cute anymore.
It's not. Deleting a half of Revit. No, you're gone. I'm sorry.
Nah. So yeah, there was this feeling of don't mess up and kind of blend in and look corporate. I remember I used to wear like super dress pants, button up shirts, dress shoes, and just trying to look super polished and blend in and do a good job.
Do you remember how we met?
I want to say Architecture for Humanity, I think.
Yes.
Were you thinking of something else?
No, that could have been the reason why I went. Because I used to work Connecticut and K. And I remember trekking up to DuPont and you were at your office somewhere in DuPont Circle. And I was like, oh, Black woman.
Really?
Yes.
That was your reaction?
Yes, Black woman.
What was I remember having a meeting at that DuPont office, but I think it was a Architecture for Humanity meeting.
Yeah. And I was like, Black woman I haven't met before.
Oh, yeah.
Not like ever in life, but I don't know you, Black lady.
That was your thought? You don't know me, Black lady?
That was my thought. Yeah, at the time. I was like,
I did not pick up on that.
Wait, how do you pick up on someone thinking like, hey, Black woman? Like, how do you?
Because it's all right here.
Right here? I was looking at you deeply.
It's all in the eyes. Like, I don't know you, Black woman. And I know most of the Black women. It's like a squint. It's like a
squint. Need to focus my eyes a little bit. Maybe I did meet her somewhere.
Yeah, it's like a
Yeah, that was like the first time I was like, hey.
Okay.
And then you disappeared, or I disappeared. I don't know.
Yeah, and then it was like 10 years later.
10 years later.
Yeah.
How was that place? How was Architecture for Humanity? You were deeply involved in that.
I was. It was a season that I did a lot of volunteer stuff. Architecture for Humanity, Habitat for Humanity. I volunteered for therapeutic horseback riding camp. There was an equestrian center in Upper Marble. And so I would like leave work and go over there and be like a side horse walker. I was doing a lot of stuff. I think it was during the recession too, around that time. I started off working there 2 days a week, and I was super excited to be able to pursue interests that I don't think I would have or could have with a full-time gig. I did all of these kind of volunteer things because it was fun and I wanted to be out of the office and doing more hands-on things, especially with construction and meeting people and just being outside was a preference.
So my reasoning was doing Architecture for Humanity is because I was doing a Women in Architecture series and I wanted to get that aspect as part of the series. How did you find these people? Because my volunteerism was through AIA and my office and just being around people like, hey, let me check out this AIA thing. You did not go that route. You went through let's help humanity.
No, I did very few AIA affiliated things. Yeah, I mean, not to dumb it down, but just Google searches probably. Even how I ended up working there was like small architecture office focused on community-based projects. And I found that place. But yeah, I think just Google searches. I mean, I knew of Architecture of Humanity even since school. So once I learned that they had a local chapter, it's just a matter of reaching out. And Habitat for Humanity, those two organizations to me were just well known. And it was just a matter of reaching out and getting involved. And then the horseback riding volunteer was more of just wanting to get out of the architectural space, honestly, and kind of balance it with other types of folks and interests like animals and being outdoors.
Something you said earlier, you said, I want to make money when I got out of school. And yet you are doing all this volunteer stuff. There's no money in volunteer, ma'am. Is that part of why you wanted to start your own business? Is it the money? Is it so that you could combine the two, maybe?
I like how excited you get.
I can't wait for your answer.
It was a recession during that time. 2007 was when I graduated. Went into work, had the benefits, had the salary, felt good. Didn't quite like the corporate atmosphere. Felt like I was doing good until 2008 hit. And I remember just like that week, like we were in these cubicles, and like every day, like someone was let go in front of me and it was headed towards me. I think if I remember correctly, I wasn't liking there, and I was actively looking to work at a smaller firm. And actually the day that I called in sick was the day that I was let go. And after that, to me, it was a blessing because there was some severance, not a lot, doesn't really cover life stuff. But then you're on unemployment, so you are getting something. You just got to show that you're actively looking. But to me, it was like this release. It was just like, okay, I'm not making tons of money. No one of my entry-level position is, because we're all kind of scrambling around looking for a full-time gig. And I have enough to live, and I'm working a little bit. And so I had this time to do stuff that I wanted to do. So there was a transition from making money to just pursuing interest and seeing what other things make me happy and what I like to do.
Did you find it?
Find what makes me happy?
Yeah.
During the time, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think the connections with people really made me helped day to day, especially the non-architecture connections, because no one knew that world. I was showing up volunteering in areas where, no one asked me like architecture stuff and like, how's that deadline, that schematic design deadline going? It was just like you're present and you're not just stressing, which is what was happening during that lead up of being let go. It was just stress and not wanting to be there. And so it was just all gone. And I can just be around other people who also lived like we're in the present and be present with them. I like to think so. I like to think that that pursuit was successful.
How was the transition to entrepreneurship?
It was a while. So after things got better and I moved from 2 days a week to full time, the salary came back into play. So I worked at iStudio Architects for, I want to say 5 to 6 years. And it was great. So there was another shift of like, oh, I just want to learn all I can at this position, at this firm. And it was great because it was just me and the principal, and he poured all of his knowledge into me. And that to me set me on a path of like, without even me knowing it, because entrepreneurship was not at the forefront. Starting my own business was not at the forefront. It really was just learn a lot and pass your exams. And after a while, I was getting burnt out working there because it was a small firm and it was a lot of responsibility, and being outside and working, like, again, that shift of like, I need to connect with people. I need to do something outside. I think were like the strong thoughts. So I went back to grad school in Utah. I went to the University of Utah. They had a design build program there. The program has meant that you design a home for a Navajo family, and then you go out into the desert and build it the next semester. And so 2015, I enrolled in that program. And even then, entrepreneurship wasn't on my mind. It was like, need to connect with nature and people, nature and people, nature and people. So it wasn't until I came back after that, I was similar to Cornell. I was like, I gotta go. Like after 2 years, I just like, I gotta.
So pause. So you went back to school, you're licensed and you went back to school?
I wasn't licensed. No. I went back to school just to switch it up and to do something different, see something different, experience something different. And so Utah like met that need.
Did you know anybody out there?
I did go out there with my partner. It was just her that I knew.
So you graduated and entrepreneurship. The bug after you graduated did not hit you yet?
Nope. So I came back and started working at a couple of like small firms in DC. That's when something started churning because I was getting closer to becoming licensed. And I just felt like I would work at these firms and kind of move in between like not caring to like caring way too much to the point where it's just like, what do these invoices look like? What do these proposals look like? How do you actually go from meeting? How do these people even find us? Like, I remember really wanting to bring, wherever I worked, I wanted to bring a client into the firm and work on their project from beginning to end. And it didn't occur to me that entrepreneurship was, I think, building at that point. So this is like 3 or 4 years after Utah, where I became licensed. The experience of working on a certain project type, whether it like small commercial or residential, like I felt like I had that experience. But it wasn't until getting a permit through DCRA where I was like, I think I could do this. It wasn't until a permit.
That's when you know you made it. You got a permit through.
It was one day. I got interior gut renovation row house permitted in one day by just going from desk to desk. And whatever the reviewer told me, I remember sitting down. You know, you see those people sitting down, like who are those people? Like
you were one.
Yeah, I was one of those people. And I was just like, I'm just fixing this because they said they want to fix it and I'm having a good time. And I remember it being dark when I left and walking out with a person. And I was like, okay, that was fun.
What year was this?
This is before the pandemic. I want to say this is either 18 or 19.
Okay. So when did you make that transition of quitting your 9 to 5?
So the place I was working at, it was still part-time. So since I come back from Utah, I've never had a full-time position. It's always been part-time and like studying for the exams. And I think after getting that permit, and then Kathy Dixon, who we all know and love, she was like sending people my way, people who needed larger projects done. Mm-hmm. And that's when it like, oh, this is good. Like this could help with the transition. But I had ended up telling my current employer that like, I really want to like work on these projects, but there's that like moonlighting thing issue or conflict when you're working in a small firm, working on your own projects. And so it all came to a head. It was like, she was telling me that she didn't feel comfortable with that. And that's what I do. And I remember like, oh, this, I've already established a relationship with a client and I can't give that up. And I already saw this like ball rolling. And then I immediately like emailed Kathy, like, Kathy, I'm so scared. Like this is happening. And I don't know what to do. And what should I do? And she walked me through the steps, the like formal steps of like LLC, tax number, all the like insurances. And that was January 2020. 1st of January 2020 is when the LLC was formed officially.
Yay.
Yes. And this is where the wellness part comes in, because when my mind like freaks, like my body will follow up with shutting down. And I remember feeling like I was having heart palpitations all the time, like someone sitting on my chest. Like I was very, very stressed and worried about the unknown. But I was telling people for support, I was telling my family, I was telling my partner at the time, like everyone was just super supportive. And it was just like, you can do this.
How much did it cost you to start a business? Do you remember?
I want to say the biggest expense was the laptop, which was laptop and programs and stuff, the Revit, the Git stuff. And so maybe that all between $2,000, $3,000. But then when you factor in insurances, I want to say other stuff, maybe that's getting up to $4,000 or $5,000.
Was this a year? Just one-time cost?
The laptop and the programs, sort of one-time costs. During that time, I also worked at Maryland. I was part-time teaching architecture studio. When you're a teacher, you get the programs and stuff for free. So that helped out tremendously. But yeah, the insurances, I will say, run around $2,500 a year. So professional liability insurance, general liability, all the errors and omissions insurances. Once you have those, and then once you have a computer, I mean, you have little stuff here and there, and you're working out. Like I was working at home in the back office where I was studying previously before for all these exams. And so I didn't feel like I had like super costly fees. I wasn't trying to like start up going with a 10-person team or a 5-person team. It was just me, and I just needed a laptop and Revit, Autodesk, and Creative Suite, and I'm good to go.
Printer, plotter.
Printer. Printers are like, they're so fickle. I remember going through several printers. Like, is there like a printer conspiracy? Why is there no good printers? Like HP, Epson. Like they each let me down at some point. But yeah, printer, I'm trying to think. There's some IKEA stuff. I bought a sit stand after a while. This was all building, because what was great is that I worked at Maryland part-time, and then everything I made from starting Palm Studio Architects, I didn't touch for a year. It was great because at the end of the year, I could like think about hiring someone. I could think about purchasing more office equipment, but the startup was reasonable. I mean, it's all I had. I didn't have like deep savings. It was probably all of my savings, but it paid off because I built that back up afterwards.
How long did it take for you to pay yourself?
I think after probably in between year 1 and 2, I think after I stopped working at Maryland, which was 2000, I think it was 22, where I started paying myself.
Was it a percentage? You have to say for taxes and all that too, right?
Oh, yeah, taxes are the worst. I did a deep dive with my partner because she's much better at money than I am. And we looked at what my cost of living was, what I buy monthly. Basically, I mean, setting up a budget, basically, and how much I want to put away for savings, for retirement, and just to keep in the reserve. I'm sure there's a percentage, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like this is what I need to live and save and invest. And I can do that with what is coming in.
It's those things that you're so busy. To me, running an architecture firm is like the hardest thing because you're being pulled from every which way. You have to get the client. You got to do the design. You got to do the CDs. You got to make sure everything's operational. Bills get paid. You get paid. There's so much stuff. You're marketing yourself. There's so much stuff.
Yeah. And you're fixing the printer because it won't freaking print.
Doing that too.
Print it yesterday. It printed yesterday.
Even technology, like how are you storing your stuff? You have a server, like what were you doing? You know?
Mm-hmm. What was so good about, like, I worked at small firms since 2008. And because they were so small, I mean, I didn't know all of the business side of what was going on behind the scenes, but a lot was absorbed in being a multitasker and doing a lot of different things and wearing a lot of different hats. And so it wasn't the transition. It was all stuff that interests me and that you make time for. And I'm not one that like, I'm trying to get to this point where like stuff is on my calendar and like today's invoice day or today is like marketing day. When I started out, all that stuff is like loose and just like floating around. And it's like, oh shit, like money meetings with myself are something came in. Maybe you should like get back to that person. You know, it's very, very informal. And it's not until now where we're growing and I feel like I needed to tighten up. But the marketing stuff was fluid. Like it was just because it wasn't, because starting out, I mean, I didn't even think like, oh, I need to do these amount of projects a year in order to be okay. It was just like, it just worked out. And when I felt like, oh, I mainly like touch base with myself, like with my own kind of mental, can I handle this other project? Or if not, then it either gets referred out to someone or taken on later. But yeah, it's all this like loose juggling, if you can imagine. But it's not until now that I've hired a business consultant and they're like giving me mad homework, all this kind of stuff. Ask me a bunch of questions. And I'm like, they're like, how do you do this? And I'm like, I just go off a feel, you know, I just feel it out. Like, when do you do your invoices? When it's about that time.
When I have no money, I do my invoices.
Yeah, when I was like, should someone be paying me right now? This person should be like, really, there was no like monthly schedule. To me, it made sense to do invoices after like a milestone, like, right. Which was fine for me. And that's what reminded me like, oh, you send out an SC package, hit them with an invoice. And then, oh, they got that permit set, hit them with an invoice. But then that started, I don't know, certain clients, it backfired on and they're like, you're not done. And I'm like, yeah, but I sent it to you. And you know, this is my invoice. So it started becoming a monthly thing that I like. I look at all of the active projects and whatever work that we did for that month gets invoiced out. The looseness is, and hopefully this is answering your question, but the looseness is starting to tighten up where there's schedules and certain days, like my Mondays and Fridays, I typically don't work on projects and are just doing like business stuff, proposals, I do some grant writing, anything other than projects. And then the core of the week is more project based where I'm drawing stuff and sketching stuff.
What are some of your project types?
Yeah, it's a mix of commercial project types. I have a lot of nonprofit clients and residential clients. It's probably a half and half mix of commercial and residential.
And this is mostly Maryland, DC, Virginia, Delaware, California.
Not Virginia, though there is a project that I actually just signed today for Virginia. Mostly Maryland and DC. DC is where I got my license originally. And then I got reciprocity from Maryland. And Maryland was a shock just because I grew up in Maryland, but I didn't know the county that well. And I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is madness, the system here. Like I thought DC was another kind of crazy that I understood. And I was like finally excited that like I could navigate that. And then getting to Prince George's County, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a hot mess.
It's amazing. PG County, Montgomery County, Howard County, and they all, man, very different.
Yes. My favorite actually is Montgomery County. And then it goes DC, Prince George's County, surprisingly. But yeah, I still like the challenge of getting permits and reaching out to county people. I mean, I just thought DC took a long time. Prince George's County is just, even longer. Especially when
they only have 3 people for the entire county.
It seems like that. Yep.
Yeah. What's in the future? What's in the cards? You're going to hire your first employee? Have you hired your first employee? I assume not.
I've had some interns from Maryland. I haven't had a full-time salary employee yet. I'm hoping to. The biggest thing has been purchasing office space in Maryland, working last year.
You're actually are going to do a physical office.
I'm in it right now. It's awesome.
Oh,
yeah.
Yay.
So yeah. I know.
So what? Why not remote? Why did you want a physical office?
We did remote for a while. It was painful for me. So we've always had a hybrid system, but going all remote, the coordination was a struggle for me. I was prepping so much stuff and like prepping so many red lines where it just took a lot of time rather than kind of like turn around and have someone right there. So I really do see the benefit in like in person. We work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in person, and Monday and Friday are remote. And we were in my house for a long time, and there was too many bodies in the house.
At your house, yeah.
Yeah. I have 2 dogs too, and they're cute, but they're distracting. And yeah, I think this separation too, like it permeates everything, like especially with just working in your house. So I was hoping for some separation and actually going somewhere and being able to turn work off, when you get home, even though sometimes it doesn't always happen that way. But yeah, now we're all here and it's awesome. And we have a new tenant too, because I think I really enjoy like having, the office is big enough to have another firm, our company. So we share office space with a building surveyor company. And so it's fun here. It's fun. And I like it because this was a goal probably a year ago where I want to create this like comforting physical atmosphere in studio space where we can get excited about the work we're doing, we can collaborate and have fun. But other things on the horizon, I would like to do larger projects. I would like to do larger outdoor community-based projects. I think that's probably the biggest thing on the horizon, which would cause growth where I feel like another licensed architect who's worked in small offices would be super beneficial to have.
Like a partner? Or maybe a joint venture or something at the very least.
Joint venture, yeah. I've actually gone in joint ventures with other architects. I don't know if you know Nastasia.
No, I don't know Nastasia.
She's awesome. It was fun. We actually went in for a joint venture on a women's shelter in Prince George's County, Maryland. We weren't selected, but it was a lot of fun to do and put together. But those are the type of projects that I'm interested in bringing into the office and, having another experienced architect around. So growing and doing larger, cooler, cool stuff.
Like, how did you find each other? Was it a Google?
No, it was not Google. No, it was, I don't know what it was. It was Georgetown was the connection. Everything leads to another. Once you start a small business and you make a connection here, like those connections lead to other people, other connections. And like, oh, have you heard like this university is looking for small architecture firms to be like a vendor. So I met her at Georgetown. Sorry, I might have said Georgetown University. She's a project manager. And it's one of those, the IDIQ project deliveries.
Do you have your MBEW, all that stuff?
Oh, the certifications?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are they worth it?
Nothing's come as a result of it other than, I applied to some grants when I was renovating this place. And a lot of those grants do ask, like, are you LGBT certified and MBE, all that. So it's nice checking those boxes and having the formal certifications. But in terms of going after like public projects, I have not found them to be helpful yet. It seems like the strategy there would be to do a joint venture with a larger firm that has all the like experience, but maybe not those certifications. that could be something on the horizon as well.
What resources have been the most helpful for you as a business owner?
People. I think just people. Yeah, I think every time I hit a snag or run into an obstacle with a client or a project that's gone weird, it's always my brain goes into who's most likely to experience this and reaching out to them. Sometimes it's lawyers too. I finally have a legal person who's been helping me with like contract stuff and terms and conditions. I would say people. Definitely. There's no, like, sometimes I Google stuff, but.
Your sister?
Patrice. Yeah. I mean, everyone. What I haven't talked about is that it maybe, I don't know if it like comes across yet, but Palm Studio is a very family, friends, colleagues have been deeply involved from day one. Yeah. Even when I remember when I was living in DC, right before I created the LLC, I was sketching logos and I just like took a picture and sent it to everyone in the family. And I was like, which one do you like? So everyone's been super involved. Twin sister, absolutely. She actually worked on some marketing stuff when I first started because I wasn't on Instagram a lot. I still kind of am not on it a lot. So she was like my Instagram hype lady. And so, yeah, and my partner is amazing at the financial stuff and just the everyday vent sessions. My parents actually helped with like the physical renovation of this place, which is crazy because they're like older people.
You're like, I don't care. You're going to carry that beam on your back?
Yeah. I'm going to need you guys to clock in today. So yeah, so there's family, there's colleagues, there's legal people, there are professional accountants, it's me, but it's like 20 people behind me and beside me and connected to me that are all making this possible. And so shout out to all of them is maybe a great place to end. I don't know.
It is.
Yeah.
Would you partner up with your sister?
So we didn't get into her story. So during that recession, she was also working in DC, working at medium to small firms, but it wasn't working out. So she pieced out of architecture. She's in California. She was doing farming stuff for a while. She's into urban farming. She works at a nonprofit now. I don't know if she wanted to do this. If I were to ask, maybe I will ask tonight. Who knows? But I don't know. I don't think so. We're like I like how she is passionate about other stuff.
Well, I mean, so are you. You're passionate about other stuff, right?
Oh, no. I was just saying, like, you were talking about partnering with her, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think she's moved on to other stuff. But she's always there for everything as a collaborator, as a feedback giver.
Yay. The most fascinating thing out of this whole conversation is you got a twin sister that you went to architecture school with. That's all I got out of this conversation at all.
It's not common, no. We were
not at all.
No.
But you guys entered as freshmen and graduated together.
Yes.
And you're from the area.
Yes.
Yes.
When I think we were fourth or fifth year, another group of twins came in. We didn't seem so like weird anymore or oddballs.
That damn school wants to be special. As a local resident, how do you feel about the changes in DC? That's my only political question.
What changes?
So even though you grew up in PG, right? I try to remember where Laurel High School is. It's not coming up in my mind. But PG is pretty big. Oh, wait, I think I know. Is it off of 216? Now I got to Google it.
Oh, Laurel?
Yeah.
Route 1.
Route 1, yes. Okay.
Yeah, Laurel like stretches a bunch of counties.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Route 1 and Cherry Lane, I think.
Have you visited? I mean, you lived in DC, but prior to that, wasn't like familiar with the rapid changes building.
Like development wise?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't lived there for a while, but every time I do come back, I mean, I still have clients there. I still do site visits. And when we first got back from Cornell, we lived like in the center of DC, Shaw Howard.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. We actually lived in another architect's like beautifully designed townhouse. And it was exciting to us. We also, my sister and I lived together for a while after school. But it was exciting for us just because growing up in the suburbs, I have never like just been able to walk outside and go somewhere and not need a car. That area was, I biked around actually DC for years, the whole time I was living there, and being able to take metro or take bus or walk was awesome. That area was right by where it was just a giant in that house, that church that was it was sketchy.
Well, yeah, of course.
There was always a police officer on the corner all the time.
I have fond memories of that. I remember as a kid, there was a playground there. And this was the most dangerous playground ever because it was, it was like built in the 70s and everything was like steel. And like they had like the best slide, but it was it got super hot during the summer and you can go really fast and kill yourself. And then there was like this, it's not a merry-go-round, but this little spinny thing that was all like metal painted steel thing. And you would just fly off it and break your neck. It was so
that's how you make that generation resilient. See, if they could survive that play equipment, they're going to go far.
That was the original Ninja Warrior playground.
Right.
All I needed was a pit of water, which could have happened when it rained because kids just dig dirt. But yeah, it was sketchy. Probably,
Yeah, I mean, we all had alley stories. I lived with my sister. I lived with Patrice, twin sister. Lived with my girlfriend at the time. And then there was always this, like, I moved out and then someone else moved in and then I moved back in. And there was always some kind of like, I was walking home, I saw in the alley, and it always, like, there are always the stories start with, I saw this thing in the alley and like, it was weird and something weird happened. I'm like, all that feels very nostalgic. But then when I like drive by that area now, like, it's almost like I have to do a double take.
It's completely different.
It looks posh and luxurious. Very, shiny.
Shiny.
Yes.
New.
Looks very shiny and new.
All right. Well, end on that note then. Portia, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, this has been very like contemplative and reflective and therapeutic. And thank you I have been like listening to you for the past 2 months now on the way to school. So I'm glad I didn't leave with that because that sounds kind of like stalkery maybe, but maybe, I don't know, maybe not. I just love the platform and how you like elevate the voices and talk to people. And it was really like uplifting when I would listen to the podcast. So the fact that you wanted me on here, it was very special to me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for agreeing to come on, like, and sharing and being yourself, authentic self, and telling your story. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, anytime.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Architecture's Political Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it informative or at least entertaining. If you like what you heard, please share with others. You can also connect with Arcus Poly on social media, currently on Instagram as well as Facebook and Twitter. For more information, visit us on our website. It's arcuspoly.online, ARCHIPOLLY.online. I also want to thank our loyal supporters who have been with this podcast for at least 3 years. It means the world to me, and I'm totally grateful to have you part of this community. I will try to bring you the best content as possible, and I can't wait to share more amazing episodes with you. If this is your first time listening, or just like a particular episode, or all of them, you can support this podcast by going on glow.fm/archispoly. Again, thank you for your support. It means the world to me, and thank you so much for listening.